in a repetitious fashion that some people like to call delusion. And I just wanted to share a recent experience that my girlfriend and I both had. That we're both targeted individuals, and she has a degree in psychology and understands how some of this stuff works, and understands that two people cannot share the exact same delusion. So if you're imagining something that's happening to you, the person next to you can't be imagining the exact same thing and noticing the exact same thing throughout the entire day. It's literally impossible for somebody to share the exact same delusion if they're seeing things that aren't there, seeing instances that are happening, noticing patterns. And so I'm just going to go through a scenario that happened to both of us. We were together the whole day and noticed the exact same things, and I just wanted to talk about that. So where were we going that day? Did we have court that day, or
we picked up Ray from school?
Yeah.
And we went to the grocery store.
Okay, but I was just trying to think if we had another destination after that, or it was because usually you don't go with me in the morning to pick up.
No, it was after school. We went to the store after that.
Okay, that's right. It was that. Okay, so it was after school. I drop my daughter off at school every day, and I go pick her up every day. This day, Kathy went with me to pick Bray up, and we needed to stop at the grocery store to get a few things. So we go to pick my daughter up, and there's I call it the normal auto mobbing street theater that we experience. Cars swerving in front of me, lots of red cars, lots of white cars, and they tend to park or pull up and surround you, that kind of stuff. When we get to the school, and there are two young men that go to the high school, I guess, that are identical twins, and they were wearing black and red. And they had long braids, and I mentioned, oh look, it's Milli and Vanilli. I don't know if any of you remember who Milli Vanilli was, but they were a fake band that did lip syncing. Got called out for that eventually. So we see both those guys, and they get our attention, kind of like a lot of these people do, doing hand signals. They'll just stare at you really weird, give you more attention than you normally get when you're not targeted. So those two walk by, and I just noticed, because twins walk around. And people always call my daughter and her friend twins. They're in a school that there are not many Caucasian kids that go to that school, and they both have blonde hair. I don't know if Hannah has blue eyes or not, but they look really similar. A lot of people ask if they're sisters, and everybody at school says they're twins. So those guys walk by, and we just notice it. No big deal. And then we go to the grocery store, which is not even a block away from the school, and we pull in, and a car doesn't just happen to be in front of us. They're in the bank parking lot, just sitting in the parking lot waiting. Not like they had just backed out of a parking space. They weren't driving around from around the other side. They were just sitting in the parking lot. And when we started pulling in, they stepped on it, pulled right in front of me, almost hit me, and got in front of me and then slammed on the brakes. And they had a license plate that says Mimic, M-I-M-I-C. And I thought, oh, here we go. Right as that car pulls in front of us, it says Mimic. I look over to the left, and I was just showing Kathy a Facebook page of an old friend of mine that I wrote a letter to the California State Senator, character reference for him to go to officer training school to become a pilot. And he's now an F-15 pilot, so I was showing her his photos, him flying an F-15, and pictures of him and his family and stuff like that. And so, yeah, this is one of the guys who used to skate on our team, and was a friend of mine. And his best friend, I won't even say his name, I guess it doesn't matter, was a really unique guy. He's a skateboarder, mountain bike rider, / redneck. I mean, he calls himself that. I'm not calling him that. Cowboy kind of guy, works out on the farm, lives out in the country, and really nobody dresses like this guy. So right as that light, we see that license plate, I look up, and this guy is standing there looking at us, and then he pops his trunk open, and he's getting stuff out of his trunk. Well, he's the same height, the same build, and dressed exactly like my friend who I'm talking about, wearing cowboy boots, tight jeans, like Wranglers, skateboard t-shirt, and a baseball hat, and long black curly hair, goes back down to his shoulders. Pale skin, and looked exactly like my old friend, who was also on our skate team. But I said, "Oh, I guess today's Twins Day." So we pass him up. We turn left. We go to the parking lot, and in the back of the parking lot, where I usually park, because I like to park in the back, so there's not a bunch of cars to ding my doors and stuff like that, and mess my car up. And as we're pulling to the back of the parking lot, there's two yellow Mustangs backed in, at the very back, next to each other, that look almost identical. Now, these are all identifiers to kind of let you know what's coming next, and this is how they do this. So, got the twins at the school, got the license plate that says Mimic, see somebody that looks exactly like my old friend. I mean, if I was going to pull up and see if it was actually him, the guy looked so similar. When we pull in, we see both of those yellow Mustangs backed into the parking lot. A lot of people don't back their car in. So they're sitting right next to each other. So I say to Kathy, I guess today's Twins Day. And usually when we go in the store, there's somebody, if we talk about the items that we're going to get ahead of time, there will be somebody standing wherever those items are with multiple carts in the way, acting like they're not even acting like they're doing anything. They're just standing there. Like they're not interested in picking out what item they have. They're just in the way. And they'll be standing there and wait for you to come up and say something like, "Excuse me, do you mind if I get by you? So I can get the item that I need." And that'll happen 4 or 5 times throughout the grocery store, where there's somebody just standing in the way, and then they act oblivious when you are polite and say, "Excuse me." They just stand there and stare at you. So before we're walking into the store, I'd say, "I guess today's Twins Day." And I said, "Watch. Right when we go in here, there's going to be some twins somewhere." And the first thing that we needed to get on our list was tomatoes. You walk in the store, and the produce section is right over here to the right, and that's kind of usually where we start out. Well, guess what? There's a family, mom, they had to have been brothers, and they've got an infant in the car seat inside the cart, and they are in like this rainbow formation around the entire tomato area. And they're just standing there like they've never seen a tomato before. They don't understand what to do, how to pick one out or anything. They're just, yeah, it's ridiculous. And I make my way over there, and I just said, "Excuse me." And they wouldn't move. Anybody you say "excuse me" to, they'll at least acknowledge you, or like, "Oh, can I help you?" Or, I'm just trying to get over here and look through the tomatoes, simple thing. Well, the brothers were dressed identical. They weren't identical twins, but they were very, very similar. They both had big bushy hair and wearing the same thing. And I called it. I said, "Hey, this is going to be Twins Day. We're going to walk in and see some twins." As soon as we walk in, there's the twins, all standing in front of the thing that we are needing. And so I walked between them, and I started picking out some stuff that we need, putting in the bag, and they would not move. And then when I got past them, they kind of closed their carts in around me, which is the standard in this thing. They're always trying to invade your personal space when it's not necessary. They weren't trying to get to something. It's like they were just standing there hanging out, loitering in the store. And I could tell that it really bothered them, that it didn't affect me. And I had to go around them, reach over to get a bag. They wouldn't move out of the way. And I asked Kathy, what kind of tomatoes do we want? and she said, "Oh, we'll just get whatever." So I got what we usually get. Got those, put them in the bag, and I tried to leave, and they blocked me in, so I couldn't get by them. So I just moved one of their carts out of the way and went by, and it really pissed those guys off. They did not like that I touched their cart. They wouldn't acknowledge what I was saying when I was polite. Said, "Excuse me, mind if we get by here?" And then tried to block me in, so I couldn't. Who has 3 carts, 3 family members, 3 different carts, and pushes them right up around you when you're trying to get something? It's just abnormal behavior. So they wouldn't acknowledge me. They wouldn't move, so I moved one of their carts. I didn't push it out of the way. I just moved it so I could get by because they weren't responding to anything that I said. I figured they might. I don't know what the deal was. I mean, I know what the deal was, but so we finish our shopping. We get up to the front, and the register that had the least amount of people in line is where you usually go to, right? You're not going to go to the longest line, so you have to wait longer. You're going to go to the line that's the shortest. Well, guess who's in the shortest line? That family. They had apparently figured out how to buy tomatoes by then. So we get in line, and we're minding our own business. Kathy and I are talking about, I don't know, whatever, something. And because I'm a vigilant person, I'm just kind of checking out my surroundings. And I notice the bigger one of the brothers is just standing there staring at me, leering at me. And I looked at him, and I didn't even say anything to him. I just kind of looked at him, and I didn't look down right away. I didn't, stare at the ground like, oh God, this guy's looking at me. I just looked at him back. Like, maybe this guy has something to say to me about, hey, sorry, we were in your way over there. We were just kind of confused on how to buy tomatoes. But that wasn't it. He kept looking at me, and then he blows me a kiss. And it's not like he was trying to pick up on me. He had this really evil look on his face. And
He licked his lips.
and then after he did that, he licked his lips. I'm just going to do it. But he goes, like, really sleazy, like, I don't know, really gross. And I said, "Did you just blow me a kiss? Did you just blow me a kiss?" I go, "Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm flattered. I'm from California. That's not something that's new to me. I have no problem if that's the way I'm a vigilant person. I'm just kind of checking out my surroundings." And I noticed the bigger one of the brothers is just standing there staring at me, leering at me.